Yes, everyone. This is what day one of the college football playoff looks like. This is what it is. This is what we can expect. This is what we get. This is the format, and this is what the format delivers. We fortunately got a competitive game at noon Eastern time between Texas A&M and Miami. You may not have enjoyed the game because you like offense. So that could be debated one way or the other. I thought the game was fine. I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the hitting. I enjoyed the competitive nature of the game, the two big programs, the big stadium. The whole deal was good for me. Now, I don't want to see 10-3 every game, but for a change up, I was fine with Texas A&M and Miami. Good game, competitive game. And obviously Miami broke through, and we will get to that in just a second. But what we got the next two games is atrocious. It's atrocious. It's atrocious football. It's not a good product. It's not a good look for college football. It is not going to wrestle away anyone who has any loyalty split between the NFL and college football. It will not pull away anyone that's got a loyalty split between college football and watching paint dry. It's just not good. It's not a good product. Ole Miss scored 2 touchdowns on 7 plays, 135 yards of total offense in 2 drives, 7 plays. They were averaging nearly 20 yards per play when it mattered. And you can almost kind of check out the statistics, meaning discount them after that, because they did exactly what they wanted to do. They went up 14-0. They were never threatened after that. And Tulane's offense moved the ball a little bit. I posted an instant analysis video. Check it out, because there were portions of that game. Obviously, Ole Miss didn't score an 80-yard touchdown every time they touched the ball. There were competitive natures, a competitive nature to some aspects of that game, but not for it to be a competitive game, for it to be a mid-October game that you see in the Big Ten between Oregon and Minnesota or someone of that ilk. That's what we were watching. That's what it was. James Madison in the nightcap. They are playing Oregon about as well as Minnesota did. Should Minnesota be in the college football playoff? There were other teams in the Big Ten that played Oregon much, much, much tougher than James Madison is tonight. 48-20, I believe, is the score right now. And that's why we are here, as opposed to there being a legitimate playoff game in which we would be sitting here and I would be watching the game and waiting for a great dramatic finish to then come on here and we could just talk about the spectacle we just took in. But we can't do that. We can talk about one competitive football game. We can talk about 2 blowouts in whatever manner you'd like, and then obviously look forward. I'll say a couple other things before we take our first call from the real MVP. We've got, obviously, the link in the chat, so please give me a call. I'm here for an hour or 2 or 3 or 5 or 7. My next obligation is dinner tomorrow night. Dinner Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern time. That's my next obligation. So I'm yours until then. I do want to note that Miami broke through. Somebody had to break through. And Miami fans, I can tell, I actually went live on the Miami channel after the game. That was not my intent. I wasn't thinking in that direction. Then I thought, okay, we do not have post-game for Miami. Historic win, great win. They won't necessarily want to see me, but I'm all you got. So I did go live on the Miami channel after the game and congratulated the Miami fan base for the end of a long, long drought. A long, long drought. Miami's first meaningful win in forever. Miami won a national championship against Nebraska at the Rose Bowl in 2001. They have not won a postseason game or a meaningful game because they have 0 conference championships. And up until this Saturday, no playoff appearances, no BCS performances, nothing except for an Orange Bowl against Wisconsin that in that era of 2017 didn't mean a whole lot, except, hey, you get ranked 8th instead of 13th at the end of the year and you're 11-2 instead of 10-3. But they lost that game to Wisconsin. So definitely the first meaningful win, postseason win, since, again, way back when. Just consider that drought. Consider that drought. And Texas A&M still experiencing the drought. Their last national championship in 1939. Last conference championship way back in the Big 12 days of 1998. So Texas A&M continues to suffer. Credit Miami with a nice win, a good win, a very flawed win. Some Miami fans took offense to me just simply stating the obvious that they're going to have to play much better to beat Ohio State. They can't just go out and let's replicate that effort against Ohio State and we'll beat them too, because we just beat one of the best teams in the SEC. If you go down the list, 5 or 6 teams, you beat one of the best teams in the SEC, but you didn't beat Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Texas. Then I'll put Texas A&M in there. So good win for Miami. Excellent win, considering where that program has been and where it is until proven otherwise. That's a great win. That's a monumental win, historical win. For an elite program, that's just a stepping stone. It's just, okay, good win. We'll enjoy it for 24 hours, then business as usual. So that's where we stand. And again, the other 2 games, I don't know if they're worth talking about. That is up to you. All right, we got to Real MVP calling. Please leave your comments and questions there in the chat. And we appreciate you stopping by. DeReal, what's going on?
Oh, I'm doing well. How about you, Mark?
I am doing just fine, and I appreciate your help in a number of ways, sir.
No problem. It's always good to talk to you face to face, Mark. I greatly appreciate the platform that you bestow on me on your call-in shows. But Mark, I just want to say, what an embarrassing day for the sport overall.
Yes.
Like, these games, we knew they weren't going to be competitive, but the Pro Cinderella / Pro G5 / Pro March Madness crowd doesn't feel like they've learned their lesson, because they're on, their defense is, well, Oregon lost to Ohio State by 1 billion points. Florida State once lost them by 1 billion points. So it's not like there's this massive gap between James Madison or Oregon or Ole Miss and Tulane. It's just when you get the elite teams that there are these gaps that appear larger than they actually are compared to the rest of the sport. I think this narrative is complete garbage. I think people need to stop using the lexicon of 12 best teams, because that's a stupid standard, because it's not provable or has any evidence. It's just all opinion based. And we should go to the 12 best resumes, which very most likely correlates to the 12 best teams anyway. And the reason James Madison and Tulane don't belong in the playoffs is they had nowhere near the 12 best resumes. I mean, I've been pounding the drum all week that I saw James Madison play. I saw their offensive and defensive line get absolutely killed by Louisville. This was obvious from a mile away from anybody paying attention, but there's still people, casuals out there, Mark, who just don't get it. It's sad to see, but some people are stubborn. They just won't get it.
I'll restate something that I said only to you, because actually I started the broadcast, folks, but the button got hung up, and so none of you heard it. So DeReal was kind enough to get me reset, and here we are. But I had taken off on a couple other narratives in addition to what you all heard. And one is that this is a bad look for the sport, a sport that needs to compete on the American sports landscape. And so if you've got your loyalties split, you love the NFL, you love college football, and maybe you would lean college football because it's actually a playoff game where it's do or die, win and you move on, lose and you go home, versus an NFL, okay, late in the season could be a meaningful game toward the playoffs, but it's not do or die, possibly, and probably not. So maybe you make a lean there, but you're in no way, you have to be a college football diehard that cares next to nothing about the NFL to make that choice. But let's even go beyond that to have any type of allegiance to college football versus anything that you could be doing at this point to entertain yourself. College football has to be a losing proposition. Again, I watched the latter 2 games, sure, out of curiosity, but mostly because it's my duty. I should watch them. I should know what's going on. I should know the players, should know the deal. But man, that JMU Oregon especially was tough for me to kind of hang with, because again, I consider my time to be more valuable than that. And anybody in America could be flipping through their phones doing anything than watching just 2 bad representations of the sport. It is embarrassing. And just to say one last thing, before you move on to your next point would be, I believe you understand my defense in theory, not from a competitive standpoint, but of the group of five being involved, the March Madness take on it. It's more out of a allegiance to allowing somebody, meaning the group of five, who participate in the sport and make up the 15 to 25% of the games played on the schedules of the power conferences to participate. But I never in any way had any kind of fantasy that they could compete.
I understand that perspective. What I want is, because college football gets their momentum killed because we have basically 2 off weeks with the conference championship games being largely meaningless, and then Army-Navy's the only game which normally doesn't matter for the college football playoff race. I think the G5 should have their entire playoffs through that 2-week period. That way they get their own spotlight, put 8, 10, or 12 teams in there, and they get to have fun. I would have loved to see James Madison play Tulane, or North Texas play Memphis, or some, these elite teams. But instead, we're getting these. Congratulations, you're a James Madison player. What happens? You're getting humiliated by 28 points right now to Oregon. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. My next point that I was going to move on to is, it's not going to get any better next week, Mark, because when you get to the absolute lead, there's large gaps. Ohio State is absolutely going to destroy Miami. Miami's not a great football team. Neither is Texas A&M. Ohio State has proven they're a great team. I don't know if they're elite yet, but they are at least great. Way better than Miami. And Georgia, Ole Miss, that's going to be ugly too, Mark. So I fear we're going to see 2 blowout type games next week as well. And this is why I don't think the playoffs is good for this sport, is because at the absolute top, there's just these massive separations.
Yeah, I'd be awfully curious to see what the TV ratings would be with no or little competition for the group of five in the manner that you just laid out, in that format, to fill that gap, because most of us have some level of interest in the group of five. I would have a huge level of interest in the group of five if that was the only game in town collegiately, but there's just, you only have so much time, and I can only watch so much on a Saturday afternoon. So I'm watching the SEC and the Big Ten and the 4 conferences, and I just watch that sparingly during bowl season, on Thursday nights, on Friday nights, when there's a little fill-in. One other thing comes to mind concerning the group of five, because typically if you look at a group of five schedule outside of the conference, they're playing the big boys, and they actually then drop many times to like an FCS game or stay regionally. That by far the 2 best group of 5 conferences during this last 20 or 25 years has been the Mountain West Conference. Now, of course, that's going to change. It'll be the Pac-12, but the Mountain West Conference and the American Conference. And it is rare to find any games played between those 2. So it would be interesting, or would have been interesting, certainly over the last 15 years or so, to see a lot of Boise State, UCF matchups, San Diego State when they were really good, Fresno State when they were really good, taking on Houston or Cincinnati or Tulane. But those teams don't play. They don't ever play.
Right. All the good G5 teams are now in conferences. And there's all the backfills have been Kennesaw State and those level teams that are just not even really good FCS teams. So it's only going to get worse. And this is the norm. And it's going to be for many years to come if we don't either get rid of the 1 G5 spot next year, or we abandon the auto bids altogether by expanding the playoff to 14 or 16. It's rough.
I could see a world in which there's a compromise made here, and there is just 1 group of 5 spot, and they say, regardless of what.
Well, that's already guaranteed. Next year, it's written in stone that the ACC would get the spot. The ACC, Big 12, Big 10, and SEC. That's already written in stone. So that is going to happen next year, regardless. Because they took out in the memorandum of understanding the term 5 highest ranked champions, and they literally just wrote ACC. They just wrote the conferences out So that is going to happen next year. But would Tulane versus Oregon have been that good of a game? Like, we shouldn't be wasting any. We only get 4 games a week in the playoffs. We're wasting 25% of it to just a complete dud.
Yeah. Well, it
I mean,
eliminates one of those games. We would have had Notre Dame and Ole Miss, right?
yes. I mean, that's great from going from 50% duds to 25% duds, but I'd prefer 0% duds.
Yeah.
Like, even the NFL, with how all their parity and stuff, people complain in the NFL that the 7 seed versus the 2 seed game is a complete blowout and they shouldn't have expanded their playoffs to the 7 seed. So we've expanded it to where teams are representative just for representation reasons, and it's not good for the sport. This is why you need with merit-based systems in sport. This James Madison Oregon game, perfect example why merit always should be out on top and not diversity. For Miami, Mark, it was a good win for them. It's a great win. Their biggest win since their national championship game.
Yep.
They need a kicker. That was the worst kicking I've ever seen in my entire life today. I know it was windy.
Not that bad. Otherwise, I'm going to look up his stats right now. I thought he was having a good year.
Well, he missed 3 kicks.
I know.
And they weren't. I know the wind gets to you, but there's places like Chicago where it's windy too. And I don't think there was a hurricane blowing through Texas today. So you would have liked to see at least the 35-yard field goal go through the upright. I mean, Texas A&M, my gosh, I didn't know their kicking situation was that bad. Having a 22-yard field goal block, Mark, that's not good. Not good for the sport.
What do we have here? I want some season stats from this guy. He is Carter Davis, and he is, so obviously this has not been updated. 14 of 16 going into today. 1 of 4 today. So 15 for 20. 15 of 20. He was 14 of 16 before today.
That's good. That's good for him. But today, I mean, it feels like the playoff situation. I don't know if it's just the pressure of it. I understand the wind played some factor of it, but the Oklahoma kicker missed a few kicks as well. That was your award-winning guy.
Yes.
You like to have that vote back, Mark?
Well, if they were voting through the playoff, yes, I would not have voted such way. It wasn't like a slam dunk selection on my part. I was considering a few other guys, but man, this guy was 7 for 7 from plus 50 with 24 straight makes.
Yeah. Final thing I'll say is I'm not sure if you've seen any of the FCS playoffs. Yes, I was watching FCS playoffs. That's how bad the actual playoffs were. Montana State, Mark, was a great game. I'm not sure if you caught any of the Montana State game. Montana State pulled away super late in the game to make the score larger than it seemed, but it was a great game. You know, one of the best rivalries in the entire FCS to go to the national championship game. It's a great story, and they had legitimate athletes on there. I can't tell the difference between those two teams and James Madison in terms of quality of play.
Yeah, well, I think there is one, but yeah, it's probably fairly negligible. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they got elite. They're elite programs, the Montana for the FCS. The Montanas and Dakotas are the only schools that care about the FCS, seemingly. And Illinois State here. I'm not sure if you've seen them. Nice run they've been on. They upset in North Dakota State. They upset at Tarleton State. They're going to be in the FCS national championship game as an unranked team, which I don't know when the last time an unranked team has made the FCS championship game. So they got to play Montana State. Should be a good game. Hopefully better than some of these playoff games. But anyway, Mark, that's all I got for you. Hopefully next 2 weeks we get better games than this.
All right, let's keep it rolling here at the Voice of College Football again. Comments and questions are welcome. I'm going to be traveling on Tuesday, so our schedule might be a little wonky, as they say. I don't really like that term. I'm trying to think who uses that all the time. Wonky. Might get a little wonky next week. So we are doing our best to fill the spots and not only do shows necessarily at this time frame, but I have opened it up for guys like Corey Brad and John D'Adamo, Matthew Miller, Matt Zemek, those guys to come on here at a moment's notice at any time. Breaking news, coaching changes, big postseason games, post game, all of it to jump on here at their beck and call at any time that they would like to. And so we are humming throughout the postseason. That is my aim. That's my goal. That is my mission. All right, we got Adam stopping by. Adam, how you doing?
Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I failed to get to your super chat, so let's do that before we roll with you.
Okay.
Mark, it's hard to take the playoff seriously when JMU and Tulane are included, despite clearly not being top 12 teams. We're more focused on Sharon Moore's personal life than on whether the playoff reflects integrity and fairness. Yeah, today was not a good day for college football. And thank you for that, Adam. I appreciate your contribution. It's not a good day for college football when there are so many choices of entertainment out there for people to lock in on. This is not, 1975 where you've got the viewer by the throat and whatever you shove down their throat, that's what they're going to have to take if they want to watch television and now the internet. No, they've got a million choices, and Oregon winning by 4 touchdowns in the first half, just like Ole Miss was basically early into the second half, is not entertainment.
Yeah, one of the most frustrating things for me, Mark, is that when you see a result coming, but the people who have the power somehow don't. Okay? In the course of my fairly long life, I've had the opportunity to work with people who are in pretty high leadership positions. And one of the things that I've noticed is that their status does not necessarily reflect their intelligence or their competence. Anybody with any common sense would have seen this coming. Yet we persist for a second year with these rules, such as automatic bids or this group of 5 teams getting in based on where they're ranked. It makes no sense. And this is the result of that. Yet the people who have the power to choose how this is administered and created just don't seem to get it. There should not be automatic bids. We should not be giving bids to conference champions. We should be giving bids to the 12 best teams. And unlike Duriel said, the 12 best resumes, that would invite far more subjectivity than the 12 best teams as they are ranked at the end of the season. I don't care if it's 0 teams from the SEC and 12 teams from the Big Ten, or it's from another conference. I care about the 12 best teams and collaborating on what criteria we can develop that can be fairly reliable. What we see this year, and to an extent last year with SMU, I believe, in Boise State, is not fair not only to teams like Texas or Vanderbilt or Notre Dame. It's not fair to James Madison. It's not fair to Tulane to put them in this position to have to go on the road with no chance of winning, and it depletes the integrity of the playoff. A lot of people have talked a lot in the last week about, Sharon Moore and this and that. Okay, well, I'm going to be the one person in the world who says it, regardless of the hate I get. All right, the guy had an affair on his wife. I've worked in law firms. I've worked in academia. It happens all the damn time, okay? Especially with people who work very long hours together. Is it right? No. Is it immoral? In my view, it is. But it happens all the damn time. But this guy has been vilified to a degree that I don't think is acceptable. All right, he had a mental breakdown. Yes, I get it. Don't get me wrong. Just trying to be a little nuanced here. But you know what? I hope the guy gets help and gets better, and I wish him the best, okay? But these things do happen. So, he didn't commit a crime. He shouldn't be condemned for life. But what I will say is that when we look at the playoffs, look at what we have here. You say this is not a good day for college football. I think there's a lot of people like you and me who would have said this for months leading up to this. So the only way to fix it is like what Woody Hayes used to say, you win with people. you need the right people in positions that are making these choices. And what you often see is people in high positions of power are often the most incompetent. So how do you address this going forward?
So you're a good person to have here for this point. So it's been brought up by a number of people, and I don't know this to be true, that the group of five, and you may need to know, obviously, the agreements that everyone has, that the group of five has to be included, or there would be some type of litigation if the group of five was not included in this playoff.
Okay, all right. I am a litigator. Okay, and here's what a good litigator does. Excuse my language. If they say if you don't include a group of five team, there's going to be litigation, my response is going to be, okay, fucking litigate it, and I will defend it, because we're great lawyers and we are going to show why we have a compelling state interest, or a compelling interest, I'm sorry, in excluding these teams because they're inferior. Stop being afraid of litigation. If you have great lawyers, you can litigate and win any case. So I don't even know what the basis for the litigation would be. But, people are so afraid of lawsuits. So what do they do in response to that? They compromise with this? No. There's a crisis of leadership in this country. And I don't want to go on a soapbox because I'm not smart enough to do that. But for Christ's sake.
Oh, come on, Adam. Give it to us.
All right. I'll go on mine. There is a crisis of leadership in this country, in academia, in politics, in our schools with young people, and I dare I say with COVID policy, but I won't go there. But now that I'm on my soapbox, you know what? You want to fucking litigate? Sue me. Sue me, and we will win. And we will take it to trial, and you'll spend millions of dollars, and you'll lose. So the point I'm trying to say is, and maybe I'm idealistic, is I want to do the right thing by the players and the fans. This is not the right thing. So don't threaten me with litigation. You threaten me with litigation, I will kick your ass. And it's late. I know. I just exercised, so I'm tired. But do you get my point? It's like, have some backbone and stand up. For
all
God's
right, I love
sake.
it. Okay, so we're past that point, because either all this litigation talk and there being a contractual agreement that would be violated, either that's a bunch of crap, or it can be defended and won. Okay, so let's get past that point.
Well, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but okay. So there's a contractual relationship. My answer as a litigator is breach the damn contract. You can breach contracts when you have legitimate reasons to do so, and you can absorb the damages to the extent they are there, such that you can lead to a better result. Breaching contracts is not a bad thing. Adhering to bad contracts is a bad thing. And any litigator worth their salt knows what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Oh, jeez, I'm so pissed off.
So to get past that point, then you're now asking me what I would do. This is what I would do. The first thing I would do would be, I would consider taking a national poll of college football fans, because there's only one reason why these games are played. The most powerful people in this sport are listening to this show. We are the most powerful people in the sport collectively. Now, people are too dumb and they are too they're too apathetic. They're also there's too much to be organized for the people to come together to prove their power and to enact their power. However, collectively, the fan bases are the power brokers in the sport, because obviously they can shut it down. We could shut down college football next week if nobody watched these games. They'd be over. They'd be done. All right. So my point being there, what do the fans want? Do the fans overwhelmingly want to see the best teams in the playoffs, or do they want to see a Cinderella possibility playoff? Do they want to see one or two out of the 12 or the 14 or the 16, wherever we go? I would determine, if I'm the commissioner of the sport, can I risk a poll? Because this poll may come back with returns that we don't want to follow through on. And then I've got to spin, and I don't want to spin. I want to be very truthful and transparent. Therefore, I want people to believe that this poll means something. But I believe, based on our small little section of college football here, that people want to see the best teams. I think that the 12 best teams in the country concept over inclusion of the group of 5 would win 80-20 in a poll of college football fans. So my next move would be kick out the group of 5, actually show college football fans that we are responding to you. That would be my reason for taking the poll. And I've never given this any thought before. So this is just coming off the top of my head, that I would take this poll, show college football fans that we care, that we're listening to you, and we kick out the group of 5, and we would do a legitimate playoff. And I would have nothing to do with the group of 5, except I would hope that they would play a playoff, and we would even give them space to play a playoff where they could play their opening rounds without any of our games, conflicting with them during that 2-week break that the real MVP was actually talking about. And then they could play Thursday night championship games or semifinal games after that and not conflict with us. And I would want to stay out of their way and be a partner with some character. But besides that, we would just play an objective playoff with the best teams based on resume.
Okay, well, here's the thing. The only possible basis that I could conceive of that these group of 5 conferences would have an argument could possibly be under antitrust law. But that argument does not fly. Number one, by refusing to automatically include a G5 team, we are not eliminating competition. What we are saying is the 12 best teams will get in, and that could include a G5 team if they are sufficiently competitive such that we believe they are among the 12 best teams. It does not eliminate competition. What it eliminates is manipulating the market by compelling actors to do things that ultimately reduce competition. And that's the point. By including G5 teams automatically under the guise of antitrust, you're actually reducing competition. By saying the G5 teams are free to compete, and if they're one of the 12 best teams, that does not run afoul of antitrust law. And that goes back to my point that a lot of people, especially a lot of leaders and administrators, are so concerned about lawsuits. They're concerned about what's Congress going to do? What's the NCAA going to do? You know what a great litigator says? They say, just effing do it and dare the NCAA to try something and dare Congress to do something. Because when you call their bluff, they won't do shit. But what you're doing is you're achieving a result that is actually more competitive and fairer for the teams. This current arrangement, I would argue, is a violation of antitrust laws, not the opposite. And I think a lot of people in the comment section have a distorted view of antitrust law. And you can call me an idiot all you want. Why don't you file a lawsuit and I'll defend it? We'll see what happens. We'll see. Okay? Because if I'm being a little bit blunt about this, it's not because I'm trying to be disrespectful. It's that what we saw today is unacceptable. And that cannot continue.
Yeah, and just to take a little bit different of a slant on this, so hopefully somebody will understand that it's not fair to teams that have to play extremely more difficult schedules that reflects on their record, i.e. a downtrodden team from the SEC, a Florida, or somebody of that ilk, that is taken out of their the ability to advance into a playoff in favor of a team that played basically a high school schedule in comparison. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's easily argued.
I agree. And I think if you want to take the antitrust argument to its logical extreme, you could argue there's antitrust violations because of schedule strength disparity. That's the problem with antitrust law. Okay. At its core, what it's looking for is a level field of playing competition. Well, we don't have it right now, given the schedules in the SEC, and Big Ten, and the Big 12. But the core of it is there a reasonable opportunity for people to compete? And there is, if you say the 12 best teams are going to come in. And as far as being worried about the NCAA and Congress, I think it's the opposite. When the NCAA makes a decision, or if people on the committee in the college football playoff make a decision, the federal courts are likely going to defer to that decision unless it is arbitrary or capricious. There is nothing arbitrary about saying the 12 best teams get in because of principles of competition, fairness, and equity. And I am sorry to be going off on this soapbox. Believe me, I don't mean to sound arrogant or anything, but I think that it's important for college athletes to have a fair playing field. And I don't think that Vanderbilt, Texas, Notre Dame got a fair shake here. And sometimes fairness requires you to do something that may invite a lawsuit. Well, damn right. Well, you litigate it and you see what happens. You will win that litigation. And I think someone's got to stand up in a leadership position and do something. The problem with the NCAA often, and with the college football committee, well, I wouldn't say them necessarily, but they're too weak. They're too weak. All right? Do the damn right thing. And I don't see that happening, and I'll stop now. But I appreciate you listening to my rant and reading my super chats, which are often sarcastic, and dealing with them with a degree of discretion that protects my reputation, shall we say.
That's why we're here, Adam. We're here to talk college football, and on a day in which we should be talking about the competition and the great play on the field, we only got a small little slice of that compared to what we should have enjoyed today. Therefore, we're talking about changing the system because the system is severely broke.
Yeah, I agree with you. But great show as always. Thanks for having me on for the amount of time that you did. And have a great evening.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it. All right, folks. Comments, questions are welcome there in the chat. Oregon has kicked the field goal, and as somebody has noted in the chat, JMU is they're catching on to that Oregon offense. They held them to a field goal, 51-26. In situations like this, I often wonder, okay, the final score, let's say, is going to be 51-26. Maybe even James Madison scores a touchdown late, and it's only 51-33. I hope not, because I'm headed toward a 3-0 day against the spread, so they better not screw that up. But 51-26, I often think, okay, since it was 20-3, something in that range, it had to be percolating in those Oregon players' brains. Maybe even if they were suppressing it and thinking, no, we got to keep going hard. We got to keep going hard and, never let up. And it's still a game and all that. And everything that's preached to them by Dan Lanning and his coaching staff that, don't let up. They're still going to come back. They're still going to we got to keep going. That it's in their back of their mind. We've seen it in competitive situations. What you would love to see, or I would love to see, I'll speak for myself, I'd just be curious if there was a large financial reward for points and for preventing points, for point differential. Like if you said to Oregon players, said to both teams players, of course, at the beginning of the game, you're going to get $1,000 bonus for every 1 point differential on the scoreboard, for example. I wonder what that score would be right now, 51-26, and also gave that to Dan Lanning and his staff. Not that he cares about an extra $1,000 or an extra $12,000, but you get my point that if Oregon played its very best in this game, you do wonder what the final score would be. I don't believe it would be 51-26. I do not believe that. Congratulations to Jay Madison. They will finish their season at 12-2. They did win the Sun Belt Conference Championship. Ole Miss defeats Tulane. Tulane, their season is over. They are the American Conference champion, and John Summerall gets to fully focus on his new job, of course, as does Bob Chesney, going from James Madison to UCLA and Summerall to Florida, which ultimately helps them I am not questioning their integrity, their character, their commitment to their old job, but think about it. It's mighty important that Bob Chesney and John Sumrall, because anytime a coach is moving to another program, 19 times out of 20, they're moving to that program because that program's failing. It's a bad program. That's why they fired the previous coach. Therefore, they're trying to right a situation, correct a situation, and they're competing against other coaches in the SEC who are either still playing or are able to kick back, really look at their roster, plan for the future, plan for the offseason, plan for spring practice, winter workouts, and all that. And they're trying to piece together a game plan for a team that I truly believe that in most instances that they really care about. They really want to see those players succeed. They recruited them. They signed them. They have worked with them every day for 1, 2, 3, and 4 years, that they really want to win, but they're intelligent men. They know in the back of their minds, losing this game is better for me. It's better for me than to have to, you know what? James Madison just pulled off the most incredible upset in the last 10 years of college football and beat Oregon. And now Bob Chesney needs to hang around for the next round for James Madison to play. Who's Oregon playing now? Texas Tech. So James Madison against Texas Tech, and he's got to sink another, 10 to 12 days? Yeah. New Year's Day, we're looking at like 12 to 13 days. He's going to sink that into more preparation for another football game. No, it's better for him, for his own personal career, and for the likelihood, the probability of him succeeding the first season at Florida or the first season at UCLA increases with him spending more time preparing for the offseason, meeting with his new team. He's got to get to know them. He's got to build a new coaching staff and work with coaches that he's never worked with before. All of that. So I am not, again, questioning in any way these guys' integrity. They stuck around, unlike Lane Kiffin, to coach their teams. Now, Lane Kiffin says he would have coached his Ole Miss football team through this playoff, but Ole Miss said sayonara, and I salute them for doing that. But this is going to continue to be an issue. You know, this started off with Lane Kiffin, and then it turned into John Sumrall and Bob Chesney. And, of course, we had an Ole Miss-Tulane game in which neither team was coached by its original coach. Well, I should correct that. Of course, Lane Kiffin wasn't there, but Sumrall was there to finish it off. But it's just kind of crazy where we've arrived in college football, where we've got a 12-team playoff and we've got 4 opening weekend games, and 3 of these teams are coached. Out of the 8, 3 of these coaches are either not being coached by their seasoned coach or their coach is moving on. Yeah. And with the proliferation of the playoff, if we go to 16 teams, or certainly if we go to 24, that's going to become more common, because obviously the lower you go down the ranks, the more chance that coaches will leave those programs because they're not as good of programs. You know, if you had a 4-team playoff back when we did, how many of those coaches left? None. We had a 4-team playoff for 11 seasons. So we had 44 playoff teams over the course of 11 seasons, and none of those coaches left. Right? Those are the elite teams. The coaches are not leaving. They've got nowhere else to go. But 12-team playoff, 14, 16, 24-team playoff. Shoot, we could go to a 24-team playoff and have like 9 coaches, 10 coaches who are not going to be the coach of their team. And either they're leaving and they leave it in the hands of their old defensive coordinator, or they're coaching, but they've got 1 foot in their next job. That's not good for the sport either. We got college football fans watching tonight. And again, the more the field expands, the more examples of this are going to show up, where you're looking at the Tulane coach and the James Madison coach thinking that's not their coach anymore. You know, I saw one of the coaches this weekend listed as, I think it was Bob Chesney, listed as James Madison and UCLA head coach. He's simultaneously the coach of 2 teams. Nolan Stout says, I never want to see another G5 team in the playoff. These playoff games are too precious. Even with the expansion to 12 teams, this is still the most exclusive playoff in American professional sports. Only 12 out of 136 make it. So, point well taken. We should see the best teams. And I know I've kind of wavered back and forth on this. Really, I haven't. Let me explain. Wavering back and forth is 1 week saying this is the way the playoff should be structured, and the next week changing your mind and saying something different. What I've consistently said is I'm leaving it out there for the public to say, what do you want? I can see value in both. Despite these horrendous games today, I can see value in this. And the value is Cinderella. The value is that these G5 teams make up 20 to 25% of the power conference team schedules. So they are part of the product. They are a large part of the product. And also, I am telling you that if this system does continue in the manner in which it is right now with these group of 5 teams being involved, that there will come a year. It wasn't this year. May not be next year, may take 5 years or 10 years or 12 years or 15 years, but we are going to see a Liberty leads USC in the 4th quarter, 24-20 in the 5-12 game. We are going to see a situation like that. It will happen sometime. Now, does that make 10 years of misery worth it? No, but I'm just saying it will happen. A 16-1. Adam's keeping us around tonight. Adam, thank you so much for the contribution. I will be here. Oh, we'll keep the counter going here. Of course, we've been here for 48 minutes. So we've got 2 hours with you at least, folks. 2 hours tonight. So we do appreciate your time. Mark, I don't have anything more to say except that I'm happy to support the channel. Well, we are happy that you do support the channel, Adam. Thank you so much for the contribution. Tonight's late night Voice of College Football show, the College Football Show, brought to you by Adam Lamparello. Let me, of course, leave the link in the chat. The only thing, Adam, you are keeping me from doing here tonight is I've had a little tussle between my son and my daughter concerning Christmas Eve plans. So I've had to get involved and intervene, and I have a lot of work to do in that area. So I'm going to be online tonight working on some plans. And I also have New Year's Eve plans that I have to schedule, and I've got about 20 different options there to deal with concerning New Year's Eve destinations. And that cost a pretty penny. My goodness. So, Adam, you are partially paying for my Christmas Eve and my New Year's Eve because both of those are going to cost me quite a bit of money. I would like to say and would love if that those 2 super chats covered the cost, but they don't even come anywhere close. But it's a step in the right direction. So again, we have left the link in the chat. Did I leave the link in the chat? Yes, I did. There it is. So, Adam, thank you so much once again. All right. I'm going to run through my notes from these games. And if there's anything interesting, I'm not going to read through all my notes. Those are on the instant analysis videos. But there are some interesting things that come up from time to time concerning these football games. And now we know who's won these games. Let's see if we've got a final score from Autzen Stadium, because my page is not automatically refreshing. Oh, no. Don't do this to me. I was looking at 3-0 against the spread today. This is when I consider a loss not a loss. It still goes on my record, but garbage time, bad beats. So JMU scores with about a minute or two left, and Oregon's probably not going to score again. They're just going to sit on it and only win by 17. I should have been 3-0 today against the spread. While I was talking, I did a fairly quick count in my head that since the last time Miami won a major game, meaning a major postseason game, they've not played in conference championship games. They played in one. They lost by 5 touchdowns in 2017. The last time they won a meaningful postseason game, or even played in a meaningful postseason game, other than, if you count the 2017 Orange Bowl against Wisconsin, was the national championship game in the Rose Bowl against Nebraska. They are playing Ohio State coming up. Ohio State has played in 24 college football playoff games and BCS/New Year's Six games since the last time Miami played in the Rose Bowl to win the national championship. Or no, actually, since Miami played Ohio State. Since that famed, historic overtime game in the desert in 2003, January 1st, Ohio State and Miami. Ohio State's played in 24 of those type postseason games, and Miami's played in 1. All right. Carson Beck was pretty much invisible in this game today. Rarely do you see a game in which the quarterback's invisible, but he wasn't really needed, just not to make mistakes. So that's what he was able to do, not make mistakes. He just dumped the ball down and made some pretty safe throws, 14 of 20, barely threw for 100 yards, and they won the football game. Marcel Reed, on the other hand, was horrendous for just about 3 quarters. He was bad. Like, he came out and I thought, Texas A&M's in for a long day. They are not going to be able to mount much of an offense here because, my goodness, he's just all over the place. If Texas A&M would have had competent quarterback play today, then they would have won. They would have won the game. I'm not going to say easily, but they would have won the game. I heard Tom Brady once say that one of the hallmarks of just competent quarterback play, now this is at the NFL level, of course, is just being able to throw swing passes to your running backs and hit them in stride where they can just, boom, it's on their fingertips, boom, and they just run through the throw, run through the catch, and just head straight upfield. These Texas A&M wide receivers and running backs, they were like standing on their head, like practically making twisting, turning Odell Beckham Jr. kind of catches just in the flat to catch these footballs. Marcel Reed should not have been 25 of 39. He should have been like 15 of 39. He was bad. Miami is going to go from seeing one of the least accurate quarterbacks in the nation to arguably the most accurate quarterback in the nation in this next game. Now that you guys have started, leave your predictions there in the chat. We could do that. There we go. So not only does college football post awful results and games and snooze fests tonight, but apparently the Bears and the Packers, I believe, played tonight. The Bears put together some kind of dramatic win. Score predictions on Ohio State, Miami, or any other game that's coming up now. We've got Georgia and Ole Miss, Oregon, Texas Tech, and Alabama, Indiana. So I believe it starts with the New Year's Eve game in the Cotton Bowl, which is not the Cotton Bowl, in Cowboy Stadium, which, of course, is going to be Ohio State, Miami. Then we've got the order of games on New Year's Day, I believe, would be, I'm going to guess, the Rose Bowl obviously is played in the middle at 5 p.m. Eastern. So the Rose Bowl's Alabama, Indiana. I would think that the night game would be Georgia, Ole Miss in New Orleans at the Sugar Bowl. And the day game would be Texas Tech and Oregon in Miami. That's what I'm guessing. We could obviously look that up. JMU outscored all of SEC teams combined. Huh? Okay. Why are we... I don't understand this. Texas A&M scored 3. Alabama scored 34. Oklahoma scored 24. That's 61 points. Did JMU scored 61 points tonight? What are we talking about here? I have no idea. I saw all sorts of stupid things being posted today. It was amazing. Way worse than that. And Ole Miss had 41. I forgot about them. The SEC scored, what was I up to there? 102 points for the SEC today and last night. So I don't know what we're talking about. We've got Moose who says that Ohio State will squeak by Miami and get smoked by Georgia. And of course, Moose is completely unbiased in that prediction. But maybe they will. And what's going to happen to Moose if he's wrong? Nothing. So anybody can say whatever they want. I get held accountable, though. I got to make predictions that count. But I highly doubt Ohio State is going to get smoked by anyone. But will it happen someday? Yes, at some point. Tied to the Natty says, it's been a few weeks since Ohio State got spanked by IU. We're going to show you how to be put, whatever in the hell that says. That's a mess. I always so like the use of the terms like got spanked by, like when I think somebody got spanked by somebody else, it's like 51-10, not 13-10, in which they got stopped on a 4th down and missed a 27-yard field goal that would have tied the game. That's not getting spanked. That was a dead even game. Indiana won fair and square. Absolutely. But I guess I'm going to the comments section here, since there's a lot of brilliant comments here. I can see. Vandy Dandy. Vanderbilt would have smoked all the playoff teams. And of course, again, there was no indication of bias there whatsoever. Cherise says Michigan fans are still salty that Ohio State ended their season 27-9. I think Michigan fans are salty about a lot these days. Moose, if this is the Moose, like the old Moose that used to come by here all the time, I believe it is. Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm not as biased as anybody else that's on here that we talk to because I don't take a fan's mentality to this show. But yes, everybody's biased that has blood running through their veins. Whoever thinks they're unbiased is a complete idiot, or they just don't understand. They're either ignorant, which there's nothing wrong with being ignorant until you then learn what the deal is. So there's a difference between stupid and being ignorant. Being ignorant just means you've not approached that information before. It's not been presented to you. Being stupid is just being stupid. I take it that most college football fans that I encounter on social media are stupid. Or they're just, we like to use the term delusional, which to me means they really down deep know better. They know the truth, but they just don't want to face reality. That's how most college football fans are. Sports fans, that's how most people in life are. What else do we have here? So, yeah. Yes, everyone's biased. I've consistently said that for 12 years here, for 12 long years. Tuco, Mark, it's a joke, bro. Don't kill yourself with the math. So I guess you need to tell better jokes. They wouldn't be taken seriously. Or there should be your counterparts out there shouldn't take things so seriously, because I took that seriously because I actually field comments that are that stupid. So thank you for the joke. I appreciate it. But yeah, some of your fellow fans out there are stupid enough to send things like that. So that's why I have to take them literally, because most of them are literal. Man, just reading the comment section today on some of the videos were unbelievable. I had people, multiple people, just the people that commented. I don't know how many people were watching this video. They went back to my Indiana prediction video from August. And a number of people have comments about this aged well. Yeah. I put myself up there for ridicule. I get it. That's fine. I can take it. I'm a big boy. It doesn't matter to me. But I find it funny that I predicted Indiana to finish better than just about anybody that I came across. I picked them to go 9-3. I picked them to better the Vegas line win total. No, I didn't pick them to go 12-0. Did anybody pick Indiana to go 12-0? That's not an Indiana fan? I don't think so. So I just find that kind of humorous. And again, I put myself up there for public ridicule. That's fine. That is fine. All right. Why don't I just read every comment? We've got Davip. Remember, Michigan sucks and their fans blow. Okay. We've got Stephen Cherry, who says Michigan has 6 wins against Ohio State since 2000. LMAO. Jim says, my team is just happy to be included. I don't know who your team is. We got a Roll Tide to the Natty, Roll Tide. Maybe I'm not going to read every comment. Never mind. And Michigan fans love the... Now, see, Michigan fans are usually getting on Ohio State fans about not using the all-time record and just using a specific record. So now we're down to this decade. Enjoy this decade. Okay. And that's fine. That is a number in context. I had some complete idiot yesterday. Oh, I can't even remember the origin of all these tweets he was sending out, but it was a Michigan fan who, again, I'm not picking on Michigan fans because there are moronic Ohio State fans, Miami fans, Texas fans, etc. There's morons in every fan base, but this just happened to be a Michigan fan who it was just very apparent was missing quite a bit of brain cells. And I just pointed out some facts to this individual. And then the individual said that you make yourself, first of all, you could barely read this guy's tweets because he was borderline illiterate. But that's okay. That's okay. I could still kind of make out the vibe. So he was basically saying that historians only use the all-time record, that they don't put things into context. And I let him know that I'm going to educate you on something. First of all, I'm not a professional historian, never claimed to be. In comparison to just about anybody else, am I a historian? Yes, but am I a professional historian? No, I don't get paid to be a historian. But again, in comparison to the population, I am fine either way. But the comment that historians only use the all-time record and never put anything into context, I had to enlighten this individual to say, that's what a historian does. They put things into context. Otherwise, they would not be needed. That is their job, to put things into context. We all can read the history books to see that Germany lost World War II. Nothing, if that's all that impacted, and that's all there was to it, then we wouldn't need historians to give us context into, the causes for World War II or the ramifications of World War II and so forth. I just, that was just highly laughable that he was actually contradicting himself. Oh yeah, it's fun. All right, we've got some other super chats, so I do appreciate those. Mark, you ready for the Miami fans? Sure. I'm ready for them. I've got to talk to them every Wednesday night. And just like every other group of fans, some of them are classy and respectful. Some of them are knowledgeable. Some of them are humble. I think maybe a few. And then there's a bunch of morons. Yeah. And there's a lot of information, we will call it, that is not factual. So therefore it's not information. A lot of false information that's spewed by Miami fans. But that's fine. Every fan base does it. Yeah, so that should be fun. We will not do our show this Wednesday. Of course, it is Christmas. Christmas is Wednesday. Christmas Eve on Wednesday. So I don't know when we're going to do a Miami show. But if all else fails, I certainly don't want to be blamed for not showing up the week of the Miami-Ohio State game. Or if Miami would win the game the next week, people would blame. I can see it now that's the week of Christmas, and then the next week, if Miami would win, it's of course then the week of New Year's, and I have plans, and it's a holiday. So if we're not able to get together for a show, I should intentionally miss the show, especially if Miami wins, just to see the morons that would make that direct correlation that I didn't show up because Ohio State lost, which I've got a 12-year track record here of showing up regardless of who wins the games. It doesn't matter who wins the games. Whoever wins the games, I'm here. Whether Ohio State wins the national championship or they get embarrassed by Michigan or they lose to Georgia or whatever, I'm here. I'm the last person on the internet who dodges any fans or dodges any results, regardless of who wins, who loses, who gets embarrassed, who gets upset, whatever. It's not a big deal to have a bunch of people laugh and ridicule me. It's not a problem. But yeah, I know what you're saying there, Daniel. I do appreciate that. These Miami fans, many of them, and anytime I point out a fan base, I'm not talking about all of them, but shoot, they were like 4-0, 5-0, and they're selecting national championship opponents. And all I did, finally, I saw that from multiple people. If it would have been one guy, that would have been okay. This is just a moron. But it was like dozens of people like selecting national championship opponents in October. And I just couldn't take it anymore after a while and just basically said, win a game, win one game. Okay, they've done that. They've won one game, one meaningful game in 20 plus years. Congratulations. Yeah, it will be something to behold. And most likely, let's all face it, Ohio State's most likely going to win the game. They're a better team. There's no question about that. But they could lose the game. I think that's got about a 20% chance of happening. Matthew, appreciate you being here. Mark, imagine we could have had Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, Ole Miss. And we would be sitting here right now, most likely, talking about those games. We would not be talking about, man, this sucks, and man, we need a change, and man, we need to get these group of fives the hell out of here and get some real teams in here. We would not be talking about that. We would be talking about, my goodness, Oregon and Texas. Have they ever played? I can't think of an Oregon-Texas game in my lifetime. Oregon, Texas. They play in the Holiday Bowl. Who was that? Oregon, Texas? They played a Holiday Bowl once, right? About, man, I used to remember every bowl game. That one might be tricking me. Oregon, Texas. I'll have to look that one up. Yeah, my memory is not what it used to be. Oregon, Texas. That sounds like a Holiday Bowl game from like the early 2000s. Maybe not. All right, Notre Dame, Ole Miss. They played like in 77, I think was the last time that they played. Yeah, it would have been phenomenal. Probably both of those games would have been really good. It's the likelihood is that they would have been two great games, or one of them would have been a classic and one of them would have just been a good game and maybe opened up to a 14-point win by somebody, but much better football. And then we also have King Vegeta 9. I believe King Vegeta 9 has been here for a long, long time at the Voice of College Football, but we have not heard from that individual in quite some time. UCLA will make the 2026 playoffs. You heard it here first. There were really no power conference teams that were a surprise in making the playoffs, were there, this year? Last year, SMU was a bit of a surprise, although I produced a video in the offseason that said, look out for SMU possibly making the playoffs this year. And obviously, Indiana was a huge surprise last year and a bit of a surprise this year, but a big surprise last year. And this year, Vanderbilt would have been the big surprise. So, hey, I would love to see it. I would love to see UCLA in the playoff. I want to see a lot of teams that have been down and out and not relevant for a long time jump up there. I wanted to see Virginia in the playoff. You know, we got to see Arizona State last year with Kenny Dillingham play a great game against Texas in overtime. That was awesome. And we've got a super sticker coming in from, oh, please don't let me, I hope that name doesn't mean something and I'm supposed to see something. You know, sometimes when they put all those letters together. There's something in there that's like a phonetic spelling that I'm supposed to catch on to, but I don't think it's there. But I appreciate the super sticker. Thank you so much for the contribution. YouTube thanks you as well. Thank you for that. Our latest comments. G Bama Boy with a insightful comment right there. Keep in mind, every team that played in the first round made $4 million and now have the opportunity, of course, to get paid regardless of the result of the second round games. Michael, welcome into the Voice of College Football. What's going on, sir?
Not much, sir. I should say I'm one step closer to being EMP. I passed my practicals today, so thought I'd just give you the update before I got into the call.
You passed your practicals for what?
EMT. Now I got to just take the state test.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yep. All right. I got to say.
Some of the fine people out there, not to belabor the point, people want to hear about college football, but this is much more important that you're making some great progress. That's an accomplishment. Yeah. That's tremendous that you did that. Right. Yeah, I've got a good friend who spent a lifetime in EMT work.
Yeah. Oh, I hope you get your dilemma figured out and you don't have to put the dad foot down later tonight or this weekend.
Yeah, all my right. Goodness. My kids, they're the best. They give me no problems. They're off. They got great careers. They're doing great, but they could not figure out Christmas Eve without driving each other crazy. And I finally said my daughter was a bit flummoxed, a bit frustrated over the whole thing. So I just said, no more work out of you. You just back off. I'll step in and we'll get something figured out.
All right. I got to ask you this.
Yes.
What point in the game last night with Oklahoma and Bama changed the momentum of the game since I wasn't on last night?
So, yeah, wish I had my notes in front of me because I actually cited that. I said this was the turning point of the game. It was either 17-0, and there was something in there. So one of the things that happened, but I think it was already 17-7, was the Oklahoma punter just dropped the football and gave a possession to Alabama.
I thought they blocked it.
No, he dropped the football.
Oh, he just straight whiffed. Okay.
He didn't drop the snap. That's what was so strange about it. He caught the snap, and as he was approaching the football, he just dropped it.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. But didn't that happen in another game like earlier this year or a couple of years ago where a punter just caught it, went to kick, and just whiffed on it?
Yes, I've seen that happen before a few times. And, of course, Sean Landetta just whiffed on the football back in the 1985 NFL playoffs.
Yeah. All right. I do got to say this, though. I seen that they was talking about it earlier today, and I didn't see the Miami Texas A&M game, but from what I seen in the highlights, it looked like it was a defensive struggle. But I seen that Ohio State and Miami, the last 4 times they played 2-2.
Yes.
Now, has all 4 of those games been on neutral sites?
No. They played a home and home in 2010 and 11.
Okay. Yeah, just wondering. So that game could be, is that the Sugar Bowl or that could be the Orange Bowl game?
That is the Cotton Bowl.
Okay. So it should be a good game. Just wondering how many Miami fans is going to try to get their revenge from 2002.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
And another thing I'm trying to figure out too is why am I getting a gut feeling that 2 of the quarterfinal games is going to be ugly blowouts?
Do you know which ones?
I'm not sure yet. Because
Okay.
I think Georgia gets Oregon, right?
Georgia's got Ole Miss.
Okay.
Oregon's playing Texas Tech.
All right. Something tells me with Texas Tech, that might be an ugly game. And I think maybe the Georgia Ole Miss game could get ugly.
Yeah, I could see that too because Tulane could move the ball against Ole Miss. They almost had about 430 yards of total offense. And even when the game was close or still in the first half, Tulane could run the ball against Ole Miss. Ole Miss's defense is not the best. And Georgia's been playing lights out. And of course, their defense, you're not going to see this statistically because they got off to a lousy start and they gave up a ton of points to Ole Miss and to Tennessee and a few other teams. But they've been locked down here in the last few games. And I went back and looked at the previous time that they played. Georgia was down 9 going into the fourth quarter. They outscored Ole Miss 17-0. Ole Miss had scored 5 consecutive touchdown drives, and the last 3 drives of that game, Georgia's defense just locked in. I don't know if they picked up on something. Ole Miss had like 14 plays for 13 yards. So I do think Georgia's decidedly better in this one.
Yeah. And I think, I'm not sure what the spread is, but I think the IU game, IU is favored by what, 6?
Yeah, something like that.
All right. Just wondering stuff like that then. All right. I know you got other callers coming up, stuff like that. So limited schedule next week, right?
Well, we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to be on the road, so I'll just pop up when I can, but we're trying to get some other folks to host some shows. So you may see Matt Zemek and John D'Adamo and Corey Bratta. All 3 of those guys have said that they're going to host some shows.
Oh, man. You're going to have the guy for Hawkeye of the Storm?
Yes.
Marky killing
You don't
me,
like
man.
Corey?
No, it's just, I like when Corey's on, I like to give him a hard time.
Okay, well,
No,
you
Corey,
can call and
Corey's
give
a
him
good
a hard
guy and stuff
time.
like that, so, do what?
You can call him and give him a hard time. You can call him and remind him of all those Jeff Brom Purdue wins against Iowa.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of Iowa, what bowl game are they going to this year?
They are playing in the, what's the name of it? They're playing in Tampa against
Is it like the
Vanderbilt.
Outback Bowl?
Yeah, whatever they call it now. Is that the Relia Quest Bowl?
I don't know, but who's your opponent?
Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Maybe it should be a good game and stuff like that.
This
We'll
is
see what
Iowa's
happens.
5th consecutive bowl opponent against the SEC.
Nice. Not bad. And what were they in their previous 4? 2-2?
2-2, or they 1-3. They lost to Kentucky. They beat Kentucky. They lost to Tennessee. They lost to Missouri. They're 1-3.
Yeah, they're 1-3. Yeah. Most likely they'll end. If Eric is in here, sorry, Eric, I like you, but I got a feeling it might get dropped to 1-4.
Yeah, they're like a 6-point underdog.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna hop off. Mark, if I'm not on next week, Merry Christmas to you and your family, man.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.
See ya. Take care.
You too.
Thank
That was a call from the great Michael Hogue. And we appreciate everyone commenting there in the chat. The link I will post again because we've got another. We got about 40 minutes left or more, depending on you. I got to do the addition here. We'll do the math here in just a second while we're talking to our guy, Burks. Burks, what's going on?
Long time no see, Mark. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. What have you been up to?
Oh man, stressing about Michigan football, dude. That's what I'm stressing about.
Yeah.
You don't mind if I go on a rant for a quick sec?
No, that's why we're here.
All right, man. I just want to say this, but I don't know what to say, man. I'm speechless. Today was just a terrible day, man. The head coaching hires, and we missed out on Kenny Dillingham. We missed out on, DeBoer is not going to take the job, and
Yep.
the sad part is, Mark, is that we don't have that many hires. Like, we don't have any candidates left, really. Kyle Whittingham is one that I want, but he's old, and let's see. I feel like he's the best option right now. But, man, dude, I'm just pissed off with the administration of Michigan. The regents need to all get the hell out of Michigan. Go somewhere else, man. And Ward Emanuel, why the hell is Ward still our damn AD? I just don't understand. It is messed up. You know how many scandals we've had, Mark? 5, 6, 7 scandals for the
I
past
lost track.
2025. It's ridiculous. It's like I'm gonna actually lose it pretty soon, dude. I'm gonna lose it because, like, I don't know. It's just a clown show at this point, dude. It's really a clown show. Michigan's a clown show. The block M should be the M for a meme because that's what it's become now. It's a meme. You know? Ridiculous, dude. And like, I can just go on with the scandals, dude. We got the $490 million doctor scandal over, what Bo Schembechler and the doctor.
Yes.
We got the scandal for our ice hockey coach, and we got for Mal Pearson, then we got a scandal for Juwan Howard in basketball. Then you got Connor Stallions, you got Matt Weiss. Now you got Sharon Moore. What is this, man? Complete bull crap. Lack of institutional control. That's exactly what Ohio State fans and our rivals say. Well, it is. They're right. We're wrong. We have to take it accountable, dude. It's complete bullshit, man. Joke program. I'm just gonna say it right now. It's a joke. We're clowns.
Well, I appreciate you being honest about your perspective, and most fans don't acknowledge when their program or their team has screwed up and acted in the way that they have, because that's obviously, it's not your fault. It doesn't reflect poorly on you, and you still are a Michigan fan, but you're just fed up with a lot of people acting like clowns and clownish behavior and with no integrity.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And now you know what? You know what I'm gonna say this? And listen, I'm just gonna say what I feel, right? I love Michigan. I really do. Okay. But holy crap, dude, how can you fumble it? 2023, we were champions. Now we're just going straight down to the trash. That's what we are doing. And you know, all this offseason, dude, this is what a lot of our fan base did. 13-10. We're better than Ohio State. Even though they won the championship, we are better than them. Julian saying is trash. All this stuff. Look what we got. We got karma. We literally got karma, dude. We kept talking all offseason, and this is what happens. Now, Ohio State is just in a much better, much higher elite level than we are right now. And it's total bull crap, dude. I don't know what to say, man. Like, this is what I realized, dude. I just, listen, I love talking trash about Ohio State, but I keep my mouth shut because I know how good of a program they are, unfortunately. And I feel like we'll get karma. We got karma. And now we're going, if we don't get the right hire, Mark, it could easily be the dark ages of Michigan football. I'm not even like lying to you. And I'm a pretty positive guy, but we need to get this hire right. Because and listen, our options are really small right now. We're really low. We only have Kyle Whittingham. We have the Missouri coach. We don't have that many options left, dude. And honestly, I don't like any of them. I'll be honest, dude. I honestly say we just maybe get Biff for 1 year. If he's the only guy left, we only have him for 1 year. And you know how, like, if we're good or not, it's going to be probably another 9-3 season. This schedule next year is super hard, like super hard, man. So if we go 9-3, 8-4, honestly, I'm fine with it, to tell you the truth, and get a new hire because Biff could be perfect for like a backup type interim for next year. I don't know if you agree with that.
Michigan fans, your fellow Michigan fans, have the same perspective as you do.
So my Discord chat, they all agree 100% with what I'm saying. I'm on a Discord chat with a bunch of Michigan fans who, they have exactly the views like I have. They need to realize that this program is like, it's a clown show to management, bro. Like, we won this year, man. Michigan is the #1 clown in terms of management of the football program, 100%. Now, if you're talking about clown of who got vacated wins and penalties, I would say MSU. But, in terms of management, dude, this is it. I don't know what to say. And what I don't realize, Mark, is a lot of our fans do not know that the regents are the real enemies here. They're the ones who control the university. They need to all get the hell out of here, dude. They are the reason why Ward still has a job right now. They're the reason why, we didn't even offer Dillingham a damn contract, for God's sake. What the hell is this, dude? And people are saying we offered him. What is this? There's something not right, dude. There is literally some bullshit going on.
Well,
so clean out the whole house. Clean out the damn house.
So I wouldn't give up hope, Bergs, on landing a good coach, just because Penn State found themselves in a similar situation and they had exhausted just about every possibility out there. They had run through 10 or 12 candidates, reported candidates, and they landed Matt Campbell, who's a really good head coach. I think he's a top 15 coach in the nation. There are still Michigan fans out there. I don't know how legitimate this is, that think that Kalen DeBoer is still a possibility despite him going further in the playoffs.
I personally, Mark, with what I'm hearing, I think Kalen DeBoer is staying. You couldn't even ask Jackson and these people who cover Alabama. They all think he's staying, and I agree. I feel like they're gonna maybe give him an extension. Really, our options are so low and limited. We can wait for Jesse Minter. That'd be great. But at the end of the day, I think the Michigan administration does not want to go to anyone, that is part of the Harbaugh regime. So I think they're going to not want to hire him. I would love Jesse Minter, but I don't know they're going to hire him. Right now, we're in a crisis and we're in panic mode right now. It's crisis and panic mode. I don't know what to say. And the longer we wait, more recruits are going to keep leaving and leaving. That is the biggest issue. I wouldn't be surprised, dude, that some of our best talent is going to leave pretty soon. I wouldn't be surprised. It's a race against time. And I'll let you know right now, even though if our basketball team and hockey team are so good this year, it's not a great distraction of what Michigan football is going through. Like, I'm sorry. So, I listen, I don't wish this on anyone's program, even Ohio State. I don't like Ohio State. I hate them, but I don't wish this on really, because it's awful. The Sharon Moore stuff in this, it's terrible, man. Holy crap, man. It couldn't get even worse. It's pathetic, dude.
Well, I'm going to make one prediction, and that's that you will wind up with a better head coach than the one you had.
You think? I hope so, man. I really hope so, dude.
I believe so. You mentioned a few head coaches. Eli Drinkwitz. I forget who else you threw out there. So
we got Whittingham, and then we got who else? We have, man. Well,
I doubt if Kyle Whittingham
Minter
really wants to get back in the game, and he's announced his retirement. So that would be an interesting choice. You're talking about Jess Minter?
Yeah, Jesse Minter, and we have Biff. We did give an interview to Biff for head coach.
I would think that they would want to detach themselves from all the scandal.
Yeah.
And go fresh. All right, Burks. Anything else, sir?
Well, that's just all I wanted to say. I'm just frustrated as hell, and a lot of Michigan fans are frustrated, and we want what's best for our program. But we have to realize that, there is a management crisis here, and it's so bad to the point that it's gonna. We all know, if this will break us or not, but it's not looking good. I'll just say that, not looking good, and that's basically all I want to say. Have a good Saturday night, and have Merry Christmas to you and family and stuff. And that's pretty much it.
Merry Christmas, Burks. Appreciate you calling.
Yeah, of course, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, many of us know, especially there in the Michigan community, that Burks has quite the reputation, and he usually is on the other side of the Michigan debate in regards to what Michigan needs to do, where the program stands, and so forth. So Burks is frustrated and obviously pessimistic about Michigan football going forward. I would think it would be quite alarming. There are things going on at these universities and in these football programs and athletic departments that would make all of us back up a little bit and reassess. So there are all sorts of things going on, but it is a pretty long string of embarrassments at the University of Michigan concerning athletics. So I know who's responsible. I know who's in charge, meaning who's responsible, but I don't know who's at fault, meaning who and what group of people. I know who's allowed it, but again, I don't know if they're perpetuating this or they're just looking the other way. But it's going to be crucial, of course, who they hire as the head coach. It's also going to be crucial how they handle this self-imposed investigation, house cleaning, all of that, whether that is just a dog and pony show or that's legitimate. I cannot answer that. I hope it's legitimate. Any self-respecting organization, and I'm not saying there are a lot of those that do this. There's a situation I'm fairly aware of, as just about all of you are in this nation, of a guy that was assassinated. He's got a company, and he was in the process of auditing that company. Even though on the surface they were doing exceptional work, it had become so big, so quick, that he was losing track of exactly what was going on. And of course, I'm talking about Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. So there can be, and we're talking about truly a good organization that's doing good. We're not talking about the University of Michigan or some football program that really, they're not doing any good. They're just competing in athletics. We're talking about an organization truly doing good, but there can still be corruption. The larger you get, the more money's involved, the more you need and rely on outside money. And this happens in college football programs. Therefore, you turn over your autonomy, your authority, your sovereignty to outsiders, or they could be insiders, meaning boosters, alumni, and all those people, to tell you how to do things. It's not a great place to be. So there is a power struggle of an organization becoming too big. We suffer here at the Voice of College Football with that struggle of just becoming too big, too enormous, that I've lost track of all the money, where it's headed, where it's going. It's a constant struggle for me to just become power hungry, and just the enormity of the channel and the network is just mind boggling. Yes. So we face that same challenge. All right. We got Hall of Fame Trey stopping by.
Oh, I like what you said, Mark. You're exactly right. I was just sitting here and I was listening to you. Right. The bigger the company, the bigger it seems like, getting more hectic, don't it?
Well, it gets more, and of course, that was tongue in cheek concerning the Voice of College Football. But
yeah,
for my previous example, we're talking about, and I know I'm speaking to some people out there that don't want to get into politics or don't like my view on politics. That's fine, but it's my channel and my perspective. So I'm just throwing it out there that that's a good organization at its core and where it started. Now, I'm not saying it got totally corrupt or didn't. I'm just saying that the larger you get, the less you can keep track of everything going on. And there are situations and departments and little groupies in cliques and companies that then kind of go rogue, and you're difficult to keep track of. And there's so much money coming in. And then, the larger you become, the more money you need to keep operating, and you start relying on donors and people outside the company. Well, those donors, they want things to be done their way, and their way may not be the most reputable.
And they'll move you out of the way if they don't get what they want.
That's right.
Either. They'll move you out of the way, even if it's in your own company. They'll move you.
That's right.
But you're exactly right. I like every point you said, and also good for Michael. I love college football too, but I think the important stuff should come first. Good for him. I'm happy for him, and hope he has a good career. But other business, college football. Don't you think we need might have to make the college football playoff smaller?
Yeah, it was a bad day today.
I'm happy for the group of five. I love the old BCS Busters and all them guys, but these teams aren't like the BCS Busters. They don't have that star power of the, you know what I mean? They're not the TCU with Andy Dalton. They're not Boise State with Kellen Moore, and they're not, Cincinnati with Tony Pike a long time ago. These guys are kind of less. They don't have that status, and you'll see they're getting blown out. And even the bigger teams in the college football playoffs, ever since we had it in 2015, somebody's getting blown out, like almost every game, like at least 2-3 blowouts.
Sure.
Every 2 blowouts since 2014, 2015, we have at least 2. and it's like ridiculous. We got to go back to 4, a 4 or 8, not 12. You can see the bigger it is. Now it's losing. You know, it was fun last year, but now it's losing a little bit. It's kind of like losing its luster. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'm going to say a few things, Trey, and nobody's wrong when they state their opinion on how many teams should be in the college football playoff. I don't think there's a right answer or a wrong answer. It's just depends on what you prefer.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, they want to see as much football as possible. So they're throwing out all sorts of crazy 24 and 32. I don't think that's good for the sport. I don't think that's good football. I don't think teams
Terrible
are going to
football.
have to earn it. So I don't like that, but I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just I don't prefer watering down the sport. For
Yeah.
you, you're saying 12, 14, 16, that's watered down the sport. I totally get your perspective on that. And especially when we allow 2 group of 5s to get in. And what transpired today is exactly what almost all of us predicted.
Yeah.
Good game, Texas A&M and Miami. I know it was low scoring and people don't like low scores, but it was a good game. It was competitive. It went right down to the wire. And it's a good thing that we got one good game because, you know, that could have been a blowout, not because the 2 teams aren't close, but sometimes it just happens that way because we knew the other 2 were going to be complete yawners. And it's a bad look for college football on a day that they're competing with the NFL and just competing with stuff that people do, scroll on their phone or watch something on Netflix. And college football and throwing up games like Oregon and James Madison and Tulane and Ole Miss are trying to compete with all these other entertainment properties.
That's hard to beat, especially when you have a lackluster game like that.
Yes.
For God's sake, I was watching Bears and Packers, and that was an awesome game. I'm a Packer fan, but I betrayed them. I'm a Bear. I like what they did this year.
But the real MVP chimes in here, and I thought of that today as well, that the biggest point spreads in the bowl season should not be in the playoffs. That's what shows what a joke this is.
Yeah, this I don't know why they came up with it. It seems like, and I know the answer, but it seems like every time someone misses the playoffs, we have to make it bigger just to satisfy somebody. It's an easy solution. Win your games. Just win.
I think that's part of it. But it's also just about making more money. The more games are played, the more money is made. So, Trey, that even though I totally respect your proposal to peel back to 4 or 8, but let's say 4, you would like it at 4, right?
Oh, I thought it was perfect at 4. I think it was excitement.
Well, I don't disagree with you. And I'm surprising myself just a little bit by saying this because I wasn't pushing for more, but I was okay with more because I saw a lot of really good Oregon teams, Ohio State team, whomever missed the playoffs by a spot or 2. But I will say this, that now that we are experiencing this, I'll throw out 2 things. One that's pro Trey and your proposal, and one's on the other flip side. The other on the flip side would be, why don't we wait till New Year's Eve and New Year's Day? We are going to get better games. These are most likely going to be the worst games we're going to see. Once we kick in with Georgia and Ole Miss and Ohio State and Miami and Indiana, Alabama, Texas Tech and Oregon, especially that game, we should be kicking in with really good games now.
Yeah. I would also say as a flip side of that, also as a different angle, think about it this way. Instead of seeding, you got to have better matchups. You can, just like how the bowl selection does it, they pick the best maybe out of their conference, but they wind up with some good matchups. How about we just, instead of putting randoms like James Madison in Oregon, and I'd give it to James Madison, they have 500 yards and 34 points in a blowout, and that's good. Better than what Tulane did. But by the time we clicked it off, it was 34-6, and no one cares. I didn't even know about the score until I looked at it until later. So I like better matchups. Do it like I like how they use in the New Year's 6 a little bit, in different rounds. I like how the New Year's 6 need to pick their playoff teams. That'll be interesting. It gives it mystique to the bowl game still for those important games. And also region matters too, you know.
So
And the legendary of the team.
the point I will make on your side would be when we had a 14 playoff. Yeah, there were blowouts, no doubt. We had a stretch of time there 2015, 16, 17, 18 into like 2020 where yeah, there were more blowouts and really good games, but the last few years were pretty strong and maybe with NIL it would have been even stronger, but yeah, it was exciting that it was just simply New Year's Eve. These are the semifinals and they were all elite teams that were either undefeated or had one loss. We didn't see any two-loss teams ever in the playoffs over 11 years. We saw 44 teams, and they were all either undefeated or they only had one loss.
Yep.
And those were the best of the best. You know, the semifinal day that we saw TCU upset Michigan 51-45, and we saw Ohio State and Georgia play a classic down to the last play of the game.
That was a classic.
You know, that's a great day of football, and nobody's sitting there thinking this is horrible or, you know, do these teams belong here?
Well, and also they brought mystique in that 4-team playoff. They brought a lot more mystique into the bowl game of the New Year's Six. I like how they rotate it. You know, rotate two for the six. I like that. That was actually a good concept to keep that mystique going. And other Big Four, you can put some big names into those bowl games, and they still would play it. They would still play the Cotton Bowl. Who would not play the Cotton Bowl or Orange Bowl or Fiesta Bowl? You'd be crazy not to be excited about those games. Now they put them in these 12-team playoffs. I think it lost a lot of mystique now. I mean, it's like, oh, it's a semifinal game, but they don't think about it outside the box. Like, hey, I'm playing in the Sugar Bowl, and it's a semifinal game. They're just thinking of it as a semifinal game. Basically, if you rip the name off, it wouldn't matter. You know, it basically just ripped the cover of the name off of the game and still be a semifinal game. So you know what I mean? It basically lost their mystique the whole time now.
I hear you, Trey. So you would peel it back to 4. Unfortunately, too much money is being made, and they're not going to do that.
Well, they're going to lose money someday. But also, before I go here, Miami Texas A&M really surprised me, Mark.
Okay.
I thought it would really be a shootout, but both defenses came up, and that's really impressive. The running game of Miami been very underrated lately, and they showed how good the running game can be because Carson Beck was not having his best game. He looked like he was lost at times. He couldn't command anything, but the running game really bailed him out with that defense. So Miami deserves it. Now we'll see if they can carry on. Texas A&M, I don't know what they were doing. It looked like Marcel Reed can't lead an offense. He was lost during the headlights too. You know, making mistakes. I think he threw 2 picks, right? And yeah, missed field goal, blocked field goal. That was crazy turn of events. I'm shocked that it was not more points scored in this game.
What I saw out of Marcel Reed just coming out the first drive is, first of all, he's never the most accurate quarterback in college football. That's just not his calling card. He's got an extremely strong arm, and he can get hot. And obviously, he's elusive and a great runner. So that's just who he is. So Mike Elko has to live with about 5 or 6 throws a game that are just completely all over the place. But I made this comment a couple times already. I heard Tom Brady one time say, and obviously this is at the NFL level, that you need to throw the ball to these, they're usually running backs that are running the swing route out of the backfield. And you got to place that ball right on their hands where they can look upfield immediately and go. And my goodness, if you just watch the first couple drives, and it continued throughout the game, but just the first couple drives, these Texas A&M running backs, they were practically, and whoever else was out in the flat, sometimes it was a receiver. These guys were basically making Odell Beckham Jr. kind of catches and twisting around, standing on their head just to catch a swing pass.
I know.
What would happen most of the time is they'd have to twist around and catch it, and they're like 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage by the time they gathered this thing in, and it just gives the defense a ton of time to catch up and throw these guys down for like a 1 yard gain. And,
And
that's just bad quarterback play.
he threw it like 2 seconds. It'd be like if he would have thrown it on dime, and like you said, it would have been like 5 or 10 yards, a minimum of 5 yards. It could have went all the way to 20 at times, and it was just bad quarterback play, like you said. And it's so bad that what you say, twisting all that, what's that going to do any good?
The ball that he threw for the first interception, Casey Concepcion was coming across the middle, and oh my word, the ball was thrown like in a different zip code, like way behind him, way over his head, right to the Miami safety. And then the last
Carson Beck. What was Carson Beck doing? Carson Beck, I don't know what he was doing either.
Well, yeah, he didn't have a great game, but he went 14-20. He was almost invisible. Like,
yeah, good Lord. I mean, where the hell was he at? It was like back in the milk carton, Mark. I mean, my gosh.
Yeah. They did not
like
need
a bystander.
Him. He was managing the game. There you go.
My gosh. He was like a bystander, Mark. What was going on over there? But they really need him next week in Ohio State. They got to have him. He got to have some big plays.
Oh, yeah. He can't throw for 90 yards against Ohio State next
week.
Mean,
come on. I mean, and you got to expect more, too. You know, you're going to expect more because this Texas A&M defense, you can shred them. Everybody kind of did that this year almost this year. They surely did it last year with the teams that played Texas A&M. This defense is not that hard compared to Ohio State, and they can't, they ran the ball fine, but how's that going to work with Ohio State? They can shut you down really quickly, or they can hurt you in the pass game too, in defending. So how's Miami going to move the ball if they can't get Carson Beck, instead of standing like a bystander? How about you make some big plays? It looked like he didn't want to make a big play, and the play calling was just really bad.
Yeah, they're going to have to be better next time.
Good Lord.
No doubt. Hey. They are going to have to be better, but it's a huge day for Miami for them to break through.
Too bad. It's going to still be a rewind of 2002 for it's going to be a beatdown.
All right, Trey. Anything else for us?
Yeah, the game I'm looking forward to is not Ole Miss and Georgia. I'll flip the script right now. Georgia's going to stomp Ole Miss.
Okay.
It will not be good. Ole Miss will have no chance. Like you said, I don't know who said it, that Ole Miss defense is not ready for that run game. They can hurt you.
They got hurt by the Tulane run game.
Oh,
they didn't give up many points, but they were giving up yardage. And I'm going to take a guess at the game you're looking out for.
Okay.
You want to see Texas Tech and Oregon.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. Those two teams are very, very similar in a way. You don't expect a lot in their offenses. Texas Tech usually relies on their defense, but when they get hot, they can hurt you. And Oregon, I don't know about their offense. They can be good and bad throughout the season. So it'd be a very interesting matchup. Very, very similar teams, Mark. And I think Alabama is going to make a reality check. They're going to have a brick wall in front of them with Indiana. It's going to be bad. They might as well call 911 in the ambulance because they're going to get hurt.
Okay. All right, Trey. Appreciate you stopping by, man.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right. Our guy, Trey, and we got Biggers stopping by.
Hey, Mark, can you hear me?
I gotcha. What's going on?
Thanks for taking my call, man.
Of course.
Just wanted to tell you too, man. Appreciate everything you do for college football. And
Thank you.
Big fan. So I wanted to just throw no problem, man. I just wanted to throw a few points at you, and you tell me what you think about it. Okay. So
I'm ready for you.
Okay, so I think with the money that's being put in college football today, I mean, players are literally signing contracts. So I think the group of five, that was pathetic football I saw tonight, and I thought it's crazy to me that I heard the real MVP say it, but we basically saw that Tulane game earlier this year. I mean, it was basically the same game.
Yeah, it was 41-10 and 45-10. So we did not need to see that again.
Right, man. I think the group of five needs like an NIT type of tournament. They need their own separate thing to where maybe the Sun Belt champion plays the American champion. I don't know. They need their own separate, playoff system. I mean, it was bad. And so that's my first point. Now, my next point is: do you think Texas A&M was this like a pop season? Like, were they like the 2025 version of 2024 Indiana, or do you think that Miami just made the best of the opportunity to be in the playoff? Um, so that's my second point, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ole Miss. I mean, yeah, they gave up a lot of a ground game to Tulane, but I think they got a real chance down in New Orleans to knock out Georgia. I'm not calling for it. I think Georgia is the most battle tested team in the country. But I wouldn't be surprised, man. I mean, with your coach abandoning you like that and the talent that they have, I think this is the best team they fielded in school history potentially. I don't know, man. What do you think about all that?
Okay. Point number one would be about the group of five. So I'll slice it this way, Biggers. I'll say it all depends on what you want as a college football fan. If you want the 12 best teams in the country to be playing, then you obviously don't want the group of five, and they should just go off and play their own championship and actually feel good about teams competing for a championship that have a chance and a real opportunity to win a group of five championship rather than just being the lamb that's led to the slaughter for the Power Five to beat on. So, but there's another section of the college football fan base that says, I want Cinderella. The group of five make up about half of the 136. They make up about 20 to 25% of all the power teams' schedules. That 2 or 3 games on each power team's schedule is group of five. They participate in the sport. They should be given a chance. And 1 year, Biggers, I'm going to make a prediction. If we continue to see the group of five, even though these games are awful, and most of them will be, 95% of them, it will be exciting. The 1 year, maybe it'll happen next year. Maybe it'll take 5 years. Maybe it'll take 10 years to happen. There'll be alerts going out on all sorts of sports apps because, I don't know, Liberty leads Georgia in the fourth quarter 24-20. Now, I don't know that they're going to pull it off, but there's going to be a close call at some point. Now, it may take forever for that to happen, but it will happen. But I agree with you that most of us want to see the 12 best teams in the country. We would have seen tonight Notre Dame against Ole Miss, and we would have seen Oregon against Texas if we would have seen 2 more spots go to the power conference teams. Now, I think we would all been in for Notre Dame, Ole Miss, and Oregon and Texas. Those probably would have been great games. But so I agree with you on that. We're not seeing the 12 best teams in the country, and it's hurting the sport because you got to be a diehard college football fan to sit there when it's 48-13 Oregon in the third quarter. There's no reason to watch the rest of the game. And when Ole Miss is up 34-3 in the third quarter, there's no reason. And there's NFL games on, or you can just flip through your phone and watch whatever you want. So college football is not putting itself in a good place in terms of marketing with these bad football games. So there's point number one. Point number two would be, I think Texas A&M is a really good football team. I think they are not one of the 7 or 8 best football teams in America like their seeding was. They were more like the top 15. Get this stat, Biggers. The 7 teams that Texas A&M beat in the SEC were 12-44 in the SEC. They all had horrendous losing records. The only winning team that they played in the SEC was Texas, and they lost. They beat Notre Dame. They're a good football team, but they're not a real good football team. They're not an 11-1 football team. And Marcel Reed put together like 2 drives in the fourth quarter where he started to really get in the flow and fling the ball around. But the rest of that game, he was horrible.
Yeah.
He was really bad. He couldn't throw a swing pass. But But Miami's a good football team. They're really good, and I don't know. I don't know if they're going to challenge Ohio State seriously. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I don't think they're going to get embarrassed, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lose by 17 points either.
Well, I
And
mean, it
then,
depends on.
yep,
Well, not to cut you off,
go
Mark, but
ahead.
it depends on the version of Carson Beck we've seen. Now, obviously, 2023, and for the most part, last year at Georgia, he was really good. But I mean, 80 yards. I mean, what he had 100 yards today. That's not going to cut it against Ohio State. So
No, no, it won't. But it cut it today, and that's what they needed, or that's what they were able to get away with, I should say. And then your last point about Ole Miss and Georgia. Georgia flipped a switch at one point, and I think they probably did more than flip a switch. I think they made some defensive changes because they got shredded against Tennessee. There's somebody else out there that I'm forgetting they got shredded against. And then they took on Ole Miss, and at home, they gave up 5 consecutive touchdown drives to Ole Miss. But the
right.
last 3 drives of that game, Georgia's defense completely stuffed Ole Miss. They went from a 9-point deficit to scoring 17 straight in the fourth quarter, winning that game. And I think that's really what we're going to see in this matchup. Not that it's going to be embarrassing, but I think Georgia is a team. I think the Ole Miss offense against the Georgia defense is a crazy good matchup, like elite
Yeah.
versus elite. But when Ole Miss has to stop the Georgia offense, I don't know that that's going to be real pretty.
Let me ask you this, Mark. Do you think, because obviously Georgia has elite coaching and the Jimmies and the Joes, do you think that Ole Miss is more of a um, they can line up with the first string, but they don't have the depth to compete? Or do you think it's just more of Lane Kiffin's scheme? Like, what do you think made them stand out this year?
Well, I'm going to say that for this particular matchup, I can't say that I'm an expert on Ole Miss's injury situation. So I don't know. I know that their best running back, Keywan Lacey, left the game with a shoulder injury, but he gutted it out and came back. So he must have been fine because they had a big lead in the game. So I don't know. Yeah, Georgia's got certainly more 4 and 5 star depth than Ole Miss. Georgia's got a top 2 or 3 talent roster in the country, and Ole Miss is more like 15. But again, their first string players are closer than that. And I don't know
Yeah.
how banged up Ole Miss is. I don't think they're very banged up. I think they're pretty healthy.
Yeah, well, and obviously, I was more disappointed with A&M. I expected, I obviously took your picks, and some of them hit, and others, you couldn't really predict it. But I think the A&M thing was, I think their situation in front of 109,000 people, and they weren't really banged up. I mean, Le'Veon Moss left the game. I mean, he was pretty much banged up for the whole
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
But I mean, they have depth. They have. I mean, I think Elko is a great coach, and they had the
Yeah.
12th man behind them. I don't think that's. I can't understand what happened there. But
Well, yeah. If you got my picks, I picked Miami to win the game. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you there. I was surprised by the score only being 10-3. Now, nobody picks a 10-3 score. I thought it would be more in the low 20 range, like 20-17. But in terms of how close the game was played, it really didn't surprise me much. That the last drive where Miami took off is okay, it's 3-3, and then Mark Fletcher takes off on a 56-yard run. That was almost predicted by our Texas A&M guy. We had him on the Miami show this week, and he said Texas A&M, they play really good rush defense like 90% of the time, but a couple times a game, they miss their run fits, they over pursue into the hole, and they get sucked up into the line, and boom, out shoots a running back, and that's exactly what happened there.
yeah, well, hopefully, would like to see Miami at least compete. I mean, at least keep it within 10 to 13 points with Ohio State. But I guess we're just gonna have to watch and see. So I really don't have
Yeah,
too much more for you, Mark. I appreciate you taking my call, man.
of course. Thanks, man. Have a good night.
Yes, sir.
All right. Got to hear from Biggers there. And we got the Michigan merch at the Voice of College Football. So if you go to vocfb.com, Voice of College Football, vocfb.com, you can check out the merch that we have that is obviously good looking, don't you think? Good looking stuff there. vocfb.com. Pick out your favorite team. So I see in the chat we've got, of course, our buddy Joey Foster showing up tonight. Look at that. Love it. But we got Bama fans. I see Georgia fans, Ohio State fans, Michigan fans, Kentucky fans. I don't believe we've got Kentucky merch, but we should have just about everybody else covered. All right. We've got a caller attempting to call in, and he's been attempting it for like 5 to 10 minutes. So our buddy Christopher Foote, we would love to hear from Christopher, even though I believe we have run the show down to its course. But Christopher, we'll go going once, going twice, going 3 times. I'll wait here a minute to see if you're able to get through, but it keeps disconnecting. But we will look forward to your call next time. Jackson is like, this is music to my ears right here. Jackson remembers me telling him, we're not looking for 50,000 subs. And all you have to do is look at the front page and you see, Mark, you're not at 50,000 subs. What are you talking about? No, we just let's blow by that, go to 100,000. And I'm sure when we hit 50,000 that I'll get a lot of pats on the back, and I will very much appreciate those. Don't think that I don't, but we want to get 100,000. We get some kind of silver plaque or something from YouTube. And I got to admit, I would have guessed that we would have been there by now based on our pace a few years ago. All right. Man, it's like reunion tour tonight. We got Joey Foster in the chat. We got Tim Prangley in the chat. This is it's 2021 all over again. Tim, I'm sitting here writing and I hear Joey freaking Foster in the chat. So it's good to know that Tim's watching us, listening to us. Not watching, doesn't need to watch. Although, Tim, you can get yourself some USC Voice of College Football merch. Sure, you would love to get some of that. vocfb.com. But, folks, we appreciate all that you do here at the Voice of College Football. I thought we were going to get an entertaining call there from Chris Foote, but he's having issues connecting. So, Chris, if you can hear me, call back sometime. I will be here, of course, on Monday night. Then I am traveling after that. So the shows are going to be somewhat sporadic from me next week. But John D'Adamo, Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek. Hey, I'll throw it out for Tim. Tim, if you want to host some shows here to the national audience here on the national channel, hey, there you go. But we got a number of hosts lined up to host the shows next week. Now, I can't guarantee that we're going to be here every night next week or that the time is going to be exactly at 10 p.m. Eastern time every night, especially, of course, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. Don't know what's going on there. That's why you subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications to know when we go live. So please do that because the schedule may be a bit sketchy over the next 2 weeks. All right. We will see you on Monday here at the Voice of College Football. And of course, if there's any kind of breaking news, we will respond. And the ladies of college football take the show over on Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And we will see you then.